Yokoya is a sad bum because he lives alone and his house is a dump. However, everything changes when a retired assassin begs to be his maid, so he takes her in and teaches her how to be a normal girl, which makes her fall in love with him. It all started when Yokoya was woken up by his doorbell, and when he looked at who it was, he was surprised to see a beautiful girl in a maid's costume, asking him to employ her as his servant. Yokoya wonders why she wants to be his servant when she looks like prime Megan Fox, and worries she's here to scam him. When he asks about her experience as a servant, to his shock, the girl reveals that she used to serve as an assassin for her previous master, who has a connection to Yokoya's mother. Hearing this, Yokoya gets nervous and doesn't want to annoy her in any way. So to please her, Yokoya asks her about her assassin techniques. Outside, the girl shows him how she's able to use throwing knives to hit a target's vital spots. She expresses how proud she is of her skill, but Yokoya speaks honestly and says that he doesn't need her service, so he rejects her as his servant. Hearing that, the girl accepts the rejection gracefully, apologizes for taking up his time, and leaves the place. On her walk, the maid feels sad about the rejection, not knowing what to do now with her life. But Yokoya calls out to her, holding a bell that belongs to her and she left behind. Suddenly, a truck heads towards Yokoya, ready to send him to meet God, but the girl blitzes toward him and saves him from his death. However, she gets flustered and awkwardly apologizes, admitting she has never saved someone before and that her heart is racing. He hands her the bell, and she thanks him before turning to leave again, but Yokoya stops her and blurts out that he actually needs help cleaning his house. After returning home, Yokoya is shocked seeing how many knives she have, and the maid excitedly rambles about how knives are the epitome of tools, but Yokoya quickly cuts her off and says that he needs her help cleaning, not cutting anyone's limbs. She misunderstands, thinking that he needs her to clean his neighbor's corpse, but he quickly explains that he needs her to do regular housework. Hearing that, she asks if he will hire her if she can do his housework, and when he says that he will, she gets to work. 10 minutes later, Yokoya sees her soaking wet, holding a broken mop, with a bucket stuck on her head. She apologizes repeatedly, then slips on the wet floor, but she somehow flips mid-fall and lands safely, though the bucket still smacks her head. Realizing she might actually be clumsy, Yokoya removes the bucket, hands her a towel, and tells her it is okay to learn slowly with his help. Hours later, the house is spotless, and Yokoya praises her effort. He checks the time and asks if she can cook, but when she says that she can't, he reassures her that it's all right and tells her to take a bath while he handles dinner. In the bathroom, the girl thinks about Yokoya and how warm he treats her. While outside, Yokoya is struggling to keep both his composure and Willie down, imagining how the girl using his bathtub. He expects her to emerge wrapped in towels.
You naughty.
But she steps out fully dressed, disappointing him. Afterward, they prepare dinner, and the girl showcases her knife skills by chopping the cabbages, impressing Yokoya. When Yokoya pulls out some fried pork he bought from the market, the girl gets confused by what they are, and Yokoya is surprised to learn that she never has them before. The maid explains that she has always eaten food merely as fuel, not caring about how food tastes, but that lights a fire under Yokoya's cheeks, as he is now determined to explode her taste buds. Just then, he realizes that he never asked for her name, and she explains that she doesn't have one and is usually named by her employer. Being her new employer, Yokoya decides to wait before giving her a name, but the girl feels conflicted, secretly wanting him to name her then and there. They then eat, and as she eats the fried pork, old memories appear, and she still can't decide what tasty tastes like. But unlike before, she feels the love and warmth from the meal spreading through her. She tells Yokoya that the food and him feel warm. But Yokoya doesn't hear it and instead tells her he prepared a room just for her. In that moment, she realizes that the reason why she wants him to name her is so that she can disassociate herself from her dark and bloody past. Just then, Yokoya notices that she is eating the fried pork by itself and without sauce, so hands her the tonkatsu sauce to add to her meal. She eats it, and one bite sends her into heaven's door with how tasty it is. Later that night, Yokoya wakes up from a nightmare in tears and feels hungry. He heads to the kitchen to get some chow, but hears a noise from there and fears the worst. When he peeks, he is surprised to find the girl secretly drinking the tonkatsu sauce from the bottle. Seeing Yokoya, the girl gets embarrassed and apologizes, but Yokoya laughs it off and offers to make some food. At the terrace, she admits that she saw him crying in his sleep and asks about his nightmares, initially thinking that an assassin had entered his room. She shares that she dreamed of the tonkatsu sauce speaking to her and offering comfort, the first dream she ever wanted to continue. Yokoya admits his fear of abandonment after his own mother left and how those dreams make him cry. Wanting to help, the girl offers him her lap, But when Yokoya rejects, the girl overthinks his answer and believes that she can never help people, only hurt them. But her dark thoughts are stopped when Yokoya lies on her lap. And when he looks up, he sees her watching him softly before drifting off to sleep. After how she saved Yokoya, she feels haunted by how her heart was beating so fast, which feels nothing like the countless times she has taken lives before. Back then, her body always moved on instinct alone, and there was no fear. But that moment with Yokoya felt different, and she wants to know why. The next day, she chops up the trash in the house into tiny pieces before putting them in bags. When Yokoya walks in and asks why she did that, the maid calmly explains that cutting them down saves space. He stares at the results, then admits he is impressed by her strange but effective methods. Later, they find a scruffy little dog in front of the house, and there's a note there that explains that the owner went broke and abandoned the dog, assuming Yokoya was rich enough to take care of it. Yokoya groans in disbelief at how irresponsible the previous owner is, and decides to adopt it as his own, not wanting the little fluffy homie to die in the summer heat. However, the maid disagrees with his method and says that rescuing it out of pity might weaken its instincts, turning it into something dependent and fragile. She asks Yokoya seriously if he is truly prepared to take responsibility for another life, and Yokoya does not hesitate. He states that just like him saving the dog, the maid didn't save Yokoya out of pity, and that their human instincts cause their bodies to act before they think. Those words hit deeply inside her, and make her slowly learn more about being a human. Yokoya continues, explaining that he knows what abandonment feels like, and because of that, he refuses to let the dog experience it too. Later, as Yokoya is playing with the dog, the maid keeps her distance, watching from across the room while uncomfortable. When Yokoya invites her to try petting it, her body stiffens, and she instinctively shifts away. Only then does Yokoya realize that she's afraid of it. Embarrassed, she admits that she would touch it if her master ordered her to, but Yokoya quickly reassures her that he would never force her to do anything. When he gently asks why she is scared, she explains that one of her assassin trials involved surviving alone in a mountain filled with feral, vicious dogs. The memory still clings to her, and it leaves scars that never healed. Yokoya sympathizes and says it is unfortunate she cannot help him with the dog, but hearing him disappointed stings her deeply. After a long pause, she takes a deep breath and asks if she can try holding it. Her arms tremble as she carefully lifts the tiny dog, and her whole body shakes as she braces herself. When Yokoya asks what frightens her the most, she points out its claws, its teeth, and its eyes. But Yokoya is confused as he only sees a big mochi in her arms. She does not understand the comparison, but before she can ask, the dog nibbles her finger. She panics, nearly throwing it into the table. But Yokoya calms her down and realizes that the pup is simply teething. So they head to the vet together to get the dog a checkup. And while Yokoya handles the vet, he orders the maid next door to the pet shop to get leashes and dog food. Later, as they walk the dog home, the girl confesses that Yokoya is unlike any other person she met in her world. She expresses how everyone there cared only about results and efficiency, and failure was never tolerated. But here, she found that Yokoya is patient, gentle, and forgiving in ways that confuse her. She asks Yokoya to let her remain in his world, one where warmth exists, where mistakes are not punished with death, and survival does not depend on taking a target's life. Yokoya tells her the truth she has never dared to say aloud, and that is that she does not want to be an assassin anymore, but simply wants to be a normal girl. The realization terrifies her, because violence is all she has ever known, but now she begins to see that there might be more to life than bloodshed. Yokoya points at the beautiful sunset, which the two of them enjoy together, then admits that he was afraid of her at first when she arrived, but now sees that she is a good girl who is trying her best. That simple phrase shakes something deep inside her, and she quietly asks him how she can become one, and Yokoya tells her that she should start by forgiving herself whenever she makes mistakes. The next morning, the dog wakes up to the sound of her using her godly knife skills on cabbage, as she wants to make okonomiyaki because she wants to pair it with the katsudon sauce she dreams of at night. While being distracted by her work, the dog somehow sneaks up on her undetected, causing her to jolt in shock, and accuses it of being a spy dog. But suddenly, its belly grumbles, and she realizes that it is hungry, so she feeds it, and wonders if this is what it's like to be normal, feeding pets and chopping a cabbage. She reaches out to pet it, but Yokoya walks in, and she pulls her hand back quickly. Seeing the dog eating, Yokoya thanks her for feeding it. Then he rubs the doggo's stomach, and when he feels how soft it is, he decides to name it Machi, which the maid thinks is a beautiful name. He then compliments her for improving in her maid work, calling her amazing, which makes her blush at the unexpected praise. Mochi then starts bouncing around, eager to play, but Yokoya says that he can't as he needs to prep dinner. However, the maid says that she will watch and play with Machi at his place as she wants to learn to trust in Yokoya's words and see the dog the way he does, a furry Machi of happiness, and not the dog from hell. Yokoya tells her that he trusts her as well, and that gives her the motivation to push her limits. With trust burning quietly in her chest, she reaches out and pets Mochi. She traces his small paws, and her fear slowly fades, slowly realizing that just as Yokoya learned to trust her, she is learning to trust Mochi. Later, at dinner, she tries the okonomiyaki with the katsudon sauce and melts with happiness. Yokoya offers her seconds, and she insists that she is full, but her body language says otherwise, so he makes her another and tells her that it is normal to be a little selfish about the things she likes. Hearing his encouragement, she gathers the bravery to be selfish and asks him to give her a name. Looking for inspiration, he asks her when her birthday is, and she says that she does not know, only that it was winter and it was a record-breaking day with how much snow was falling. In that moment, a name comes to him, and he decides to name her Yuki, which means the snow. She freezes, remembering how an old master once called her cold-blooded, comparing her to the snow. But Yokoya expresses how he sees the snow differently. He says that the snow is beautiful and surprisingly warm. That confuses Yuki. So Yokoya explains that snow is also responsible for keeping the plants safe during winter, and dies when it's time for them to go, allowing new life to bloom. In that moment, she slowly gets the answers to all the questions she had, and she now believes that if she stays with him longer, she can find more answers and become someone new. Yuki then smiles, thanking Yokoya for giving her such a beautiful name, and when Yokoya sees it, he smiles back. The next morning, Yokoya asks Yuki to pierce his ears, because he was scared to do it alone, and Yuki is happy to do it for him. But just as Yuki is about to pierce his ears, she gets scared and backs off, because she thinks it is a risky job, although she used to pierce ears. Suddenly, Yokoya's sister pops up and rings the doorbell because she wants to see Mochi, and she expects Yokoya to be the one who opens the door, but she is surprised when a tall and busty maid opens it instead. Later, the sister is excited to see the cute Mochi, and then she asks Yokoya about the maid he hires. Yokoya explains everything about Yuki to his sister, and she cannot look at Yuki's face because she fancies beautiful people. When Yuki asks about the two of them, Yokoya's sister introduces herself as Riko, and the girls get to know each other. Yuki tells Riko about how Yokoya gives her a name, which stuns her. Yuki then explains everything about how she used to be an assassin, and it impresses Riko because she cannot believe a beautiful girl like Yuki could be an assassin. So she begs her to sign her notebook. While Yuki signs Riko's notebook, Riko cannot stop admiring her looks, and then she is surprised when she sees Yuki's ugly handwriting. Yuki tells them about how she cannot write well, but she is great at communicating because she travels around the world a lot, which allows her to speak a dozen languages. Riko does not mind Yuki's ugly handwriting, and it gives her an idea. Riko tells Yuki that she wants her to be her summer research project because Yuki is a beautiful maid who is an assassin. They move to the backyard because Riko wants to see Yuki's assassin side. And there, Yuki shows her knife-throwing skills, which leaves Riko amazed. Yuki starts to tell Riko where she puts her knives, but Yokoya stops her because it leads to fan service. Later, Riko continues examining and interviewing Yuki with intense curiosity. But the moment is interrupted by the sound of Riko's stomach growling. Yokoya suggests they all eat lunch together. So Arko asks Yuki about her specialty dish, and Yuki shyly says she does not like calling it a dish, though she is willing to show her cutting skills. When she does, Riko is once again left in awe. The three eventually head out to a fast food restaurant, where Riko talks excitedly about the upcoming summer festival. This reminds Yokoya of the sauce senbei that Yuki loves so much, and when he mentions it, Yuki immediately starts drooling at the thought, and they all decide to go to the summer festival that night. That evening, the three enjoy the festival together, and Yuki tries to show off her shooting skills at a stall, but fails miserably. Undeterred, she switches to demonstrating her capturing skills instead, which impresses both Yokoya and Riko. Yuki even teaches Riko the trick to catching a fish, amazing the stall owner so much that he comments on what a wonderful sister Riko has. Next, they stop by a stall selling snacks covered in katsudon sauce, and Yuki can barely contain herself and devours the entire thing in seconds like a squirrel, deeply moving the shop owner, who gives her an extra serving for free. Later, Riko leaves briefly to buy drinks, leaving Yokoya and Yuki alone. While they wait, Yokoya asks if Yuki has ever been to a festival before, and Yuki explains that she never truly enjoyed festivals because she once carried out an assassination during one. The memories resurface vividly, and Yokoya notices the change in her expression immediately. Riko soon returns with drinks, just as fireworks explode across the sky, and Yuki stares in awe, seeing fireworks for the first time in her life. The three watch silently, completely captivated, until Yokoya accidentally pops his soda too hard in his excitement, making all of them burst into laughter. As they walk home later, Riko plays the role of an older sister to Yuki, warning her not to eat too many of the katsuta sauce snacks. Suddenly, a motorcycle races past them, and without thinking, Yuki grabs Riko and carries her out of harm's way. Yokoya panics for a moment, but Riko is unharmed thanks to Yuki's quick reaction. Fury overtakes Yokoya as he realizes the motorcyclist is a robber who almost ran over his sister. He rants about how such a person deserves to be punished or even assassinated, without realizing how much his words sound like an order. Yuki reacts instantly, sprinting after the robber, and chases him down. Yokoya and Riko follow after her, with Riko eager to gather more material for her research. In an alleyway, they find the robber already captured, lying on the ground in terror as Yuki looms over him. Yokoya fears she is about to decapitate the man and desperately tries to stop her. But Yuki only delivers a smack to his helmet as punishment instead, which is enough to scare him off. Relief washes over Yokoya when he realizes Yuki did not become an assassin in front of him. He helps her walk home as she slowly returns to her normal self. Because of everything that happened, Yokoya insists on walking Riko back to her house as well. Riko agrees and excitedly talks about how she cannot wait to present her summer research on Yuki. And this leads her to ask whether Yuki has ever gone to school. Riko enthusiastically explains school life to her, but is interrupted by a text from her mother about a stew she made, instantly making Riko hungry. After hearing about school, Yuki quietly tells Yokoya that she wants to live a normal life and attend school too, so Yokoya encourages her to try applying. When summer vacation ends, Yokoya returns to school for the new semester, worrying about Yuki being alone at home. His concern is interrupted when a friend mentions a new girl who loves cosplaying as a maid, leaving Yokoya stunned. He wonders when he should tell his friends that Yuki is actually his maid, but decides to stay silent for now. Just then, the teacher enters the classroom and announces that there is a new student joining them, and to Yokoya's shock, it is Yuki. Yuki then introduces herself as Yokoya's cousin, and uses his last name, shocking him. Before he can even process it, she calmly takes a seat in front of him and casually calls him her master, instantly throwing the entire classroom into chaos as their classmates stare in disbelief, thinking that they're the type of cousins who keep their bloodline tied in the family. After school, Yokoya confronts Riko, already knowing she is the one who signed Yuki up for his school. Riko proudly admits it without hesitation, and she explains that Yuki is a fast learner and that she enjoys helping her with homework, which gives her the idea to enroll Yuki in school. Yokoya still cannot believe that his own sister put his maid into the same school and class as him, leaving him wondering why Yuki chose his last name and how she managed to get placed right beside him. Yuki calmly explains that she took care of everything by contacting her underground connections, and that the cousin story is Riko's idea because she wanted to surprise him. At that point, Yokoya has nothing left to say and is forced to accept the reality that his maid is now his classmate, so he encourages Yuki to enjoy her school life alongside him. The next day, Yuki notices that her classmates immediately rush downstairs once lunchtime begins, all excited about something called katsuta bread. Yokoya asks Yuki what she wants for lunch, and she tells him she wants katsuta bread because she is curious about what it is. Yokoya explains what katsuta bread is, which amazes her and makes her want one even more. He also explains that every student is trying to get it because it is extremely rare, reminding Yuki of something her former master once told her. Suddenly, Yuki uses her assassin skills to reach the school roof, attempting to locate the katsuta bread. Yokoya wants to stop her, but when he sees her face practically drooling like a fat chick, staring into a dessert shop window, he realizes nothing can stop her and decides to let her go. Moments later, Yokoya witnesses the first wave of the katsuta brigade, a group of students sprinting toward the katsuta shop to secure a piece of the rare food item. He already imagines his future falling apart as his classmates discover Yuki's assassin abilities. But to his surprise, Yuki lands safely and remains completely unnoticed. She becomes the first person in the shop and excitedly buys a few items, thrilled to finally taste the bread everyone calls rare. Later, Yuki and Yokoya eat lunch on the roof, and Yuki apologizes for only getting one katsuta bread due to the rules, but Yokoya does not mind the regular bread she bought for him and insists she enjoy the katsuta bread herself. He explains that he has already eaten one before and cannot bring himself to take the bread she worked so hard to get, especially when he sees how excited she is. While eating, Yuki suddenly offers him a bite of the katsuta bread, and Yokoya blushes immediately. At first, he refuses, but Yuki insists, and he finally takes a bite from the bread she feeds him, turning even redder. Later that night, Yokoya and Riko talk about how often Riko has been staying over lately. Riko explains that she loves living there because Yuki feels like the sister she always wanted. She admits that she once imagined Yokoya as her sister. Damn! Someone she could talk to about romance and girl talk. Riko casually suggests that Yokoya and Yuki should get married one day so Yuki can become her real sister. Yokoya immediately rejects the idea, but Riko tells him that Yuki has feelings for him. Yokoya denies it and brings up the katsuta bread incident as proof. But Riko smiles, pointing out how romantic the moment actually was, making Yokoya realize that Yuki might truly have feelings for him. Just then, Yuki suddenly appears and asks what they are talking about regarding marriage. Yokoya tries to change the subject, but Riko bluntly tells Yuki that she wants her to become her official sister. Riko then asks if Yuki likes Yokoya, and Yuki confidently says that she admires him, leaving Yokoya stunned, knowing he got friend-zoned. Later, the three eat fruit covered in sauce in the backyard while talking about how beautiful Yuki's face is. Riko asks if she wears makeup, and Yuki explains that she does not. Riko says Yuki's face is the kind other women envy, but Yuki admits her looks never helped her in her former line of work. Riko reflects that she is rarely called pretty except by her parents, but Yuki gently compliments her, saying she genuinely likes Riko's face, and the words hit Riko harder than expected. Riko wonders aloud if she could ever match Yuki's beauty, and Yuki credits her glowing skin to tonkatsu sauce and offers Riko a slice of her tonkatsu glazed melon. Riko hesitates, then tries it, and ends up loving it. Watching them, Yokoya thinks they look like real sisters and silently thanks Riko for helping Yuki adapt so well to a normal life. But then, Riko teases him, accusing him of imagining marrying Yuki just to witness moments like this. He denies it, but when she asks if he would be happy marrying someone as beautiful as Yuki, he admits that he would. But while they are talking, a mysterious cat watches them quietly from the bushes nearby. The next day, Yokoya slowly starts falling asleep in class. The teacher notices and throws a piece of chalk at him, but Yuki instantly slices the chalk in half, thinking she is saving him. Instead, the split chalk hits Yokoya in the eyes, terrifying the entire classroom as they witness the chalk break apart midair. Yokoya is sent to the infirmary, where he finds that the usual nurse is absent and replaced by a hot baddie of a nurse named Nida. He explains what happened, and Nida checks his eyes while casually asking about Yuki. She laughs when he explains that Yuki is his cousin and remarks that Yuki seems like his type. Suddenly, Nida locks the door and pushes Yokoya onto the bed, claiming she wants to teach him hands-on biology between the birds and the bees.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
Yokoya panics, feels violated, and begs her to stop. At that moment, Yuki bursts into the room to check on him and freezes when she sees Nida of him. Yokoya immediately hides behind Yuki and tells her what almost happened. Nida laughs it off, calling it a nurse's joke, and tells Yokoya to sit down so she can give him eye drops. Yokoya hesitates, ready to comply, but Yuki firmly insists that he should listen to her instead and orders Nida to never approach him again. Yokoya suddenly remembers Riko's theory that Yuki might actually like him and feel jealous. Bored, Nida dismisses them and kicks them out, saying the injury is minor. As Yuki walks Yokoya out, she apologizes and says there is something he needs to know. His heart races, expecting a confession, but instead she reveals that Nida is an assassin as well. Elsewhere, the mysterious cat from before approaches Nida and shows her images of Yokoya's home. With a twisted grin, Nida begins planning her next move. For the longest time, Nida has always dreamed of living a lavish, carefree life surrounded by men who would treat her like Bonnie Blue. But to achieve that future, she believes she must destroy Yuki's entire family and friends because Yuki is the key standing in the way of her desires. Meanwhile, back home, Yokoya cannot fall asleep, disturbed by the feeling of being watched. When he opens his eyes, he realizes Yuki has been quietly watching over him. When he questions her, she explains that she needs to act as his bodyguard for a while, since someone might try to attack them while they sleep. Yuki worries about his safety, but Yokoya finds himself even more worried about her and about the fact that he cannot relax with her in the same room. So, to help him sleep better, Yuki decides to lie down beside him, thinking her presence will calm him. Instead, Yokoya becomes even more awake, painfully aware that a girl with Mia Khalifa-like specifications is sleeping right next to him. As his thoughts spiral, he wonders if the assassin pursuing them is actually targeting Yuki. She calmly assures him that she can handle the assassin even while asleep, and that she does not expect an immediate attack. Still, she chooses to stay awake and watch over Yokoya, wanting to make sure he is safe. She explains that he is the one who taught her kindness after the dark life she once lived, and that alone makes him precious to her. Yokoya understands what Yuki is trying to say, but her words only make him more anxious. Deep down, he feels powerless, unable to protect her or share her burden, and that helplessness weighs heavily on him. Yuki notices this and quietly keeps it in mind, hoping that one day he might find a way to help her. When Yokoya decides to open the window, Yuki instantly moves ahead of him, opening it herself because she fears there could be a sniper nearby. The moment the window opens, she smells katsuta sauce drifting through the air, and she immediately knows it is not coming from the neighbors. Yuki sharpens her senses and notices something strange. An aroma diffuser has been placed near the front gate, clearly meant to distract them. At that exact moment, she senses someone behind her. She reacts instantly, attempting to assassinate the intruder, but she is already too late. There she sees Nita holding Yokoya hostage, and she mocks Yuki, claiming she has lost her edge, but her confidence falters when Yuki suddenly threatens her in another language. Realizing she cannot defeat Yuki head-on, Nita issues an ultimatum that Yuki must meet her at school that night, or she will find Yokoya in pieces in the bottom of a lake. After Nita escapes with Yokoya, Yuki immediately knows what she must do, recalling the words of her mentor. Her first instinct tells her to assassinate Nita and abandon everything else. But then she remembers what Yokoya once told her and how he cannot live without her. That memory changes her resolve, and she decides on a different path. Later that night, Yokoya is tied up in the middle of the school field by Nita. But despite his situation, he feels neither fear nor despair, fully believing that Yuki will come for him. Nita is impressed by his courage, but she does not care. As to her, he is nothing more than bait in the trap she has set for Yuki. As they wait, Yokoya asks about Yuki's past, noticing that Nita keeps calling Yuki a Sue. Nita explains that Yuki was once a monster during her assassin days, exceptionally skilled and ruthless, which earned her recruitment into the Dragon's Nine. Nita reveals that Yuki was the fourth member of the Dragon's Nine, known as Sue, the White Wolf, and the Dragon's Nine is an elite assassin organization, and assassinating someone as infamous as Yuki would make Nita rich and famous among assassins. Yokoya refuses to believe that the terrifying figure Nita describes is the Yuki he knows, a gentle maid and calm student. Nita agrees that Yuki has changed, but she is deeply bothered by one thing, and that is by how Yokoya managed to somehow tame someone like Yuki, turning the White Wolf into someone obedient and gentle, almost like a maid. After hours of waiting, Nita finally sees Yuki appear, her presence sharp and overwhelming, clearly ready to save Yokoya and end the fight. Yuki immediately moves toward him, but Nita leashes an array of traps and weapons to slow her down. Nita fires at Yuki, but Yuki effortlessly deflects the bullets with her sword, just like something out of a movie. As Yuki closes in, Nita activates a landmine beneath her feet. The explosion rocks the field, and Yokoya's heart sinks as he believes Yuki has been murdered. Nita smiles, convinced that her victory will soon make her filthy rich. Suddenly, Yuki emerges from the smoke and debris, alive and advancing once more. This time, Nita reveals her final trick in the form of automated sniper rifles aimed directly at Yokoya, programmed to shoot his arms and legs the moment Yuki moves. Yuki calmly tells Nita that Yokoya still has school in the morning, and she wants the fight to end quickly because she does not want him getting sick. Nita laughs, assuming Yuki is bluffing, but Yuki suddenly rushes forward anyway. Nita activates the rifles, only to watch in horror as Yuki throws multiple knives at once, perfectly deflecting every bullet before they can touch Yokoya. Panicking, Nita reaches for another device, but Yuki instantly destroys her phone, cornering her completely. Desperate, Nita pulls out a gun and points it at Yokoya's head, but Yuki swiftly kicks the weapon from her hand and slams her to the ground. Yuki calmly tells Nita that she has lost, and Nita trembles, expecting the White Wolf to assassinate her, but instead, Yuki spares her life and frees Yokoya. Before leaving, Yuki tells Nita that she has changed for the better and wants nothing more than a normal life. She declares that she will do anything to protect the peaceful life she has finally gained. After they leave, Nita recalls the rumors about the monster Yuki once was and reflects on her own past encounters with her. Realizing that Yuki truly has changed, Nita laughs to herself, finding Yuki's resolve strangely fascinating. On the way home, Yokoya describes the day as exciting and unforgettable, but Yuki suddenly apologizes for dragging him into her dangerous past. She offers to leave him behind if it means he can live peacefully. But instead of agreeing, Yokoya says nothing about her apology and simply asks her to teach him martial arts. He explains that he wants to help her, even just a little, as a man, and his words make both of them smile. Days later, Yuki takes over the volleyball court and utterly dominates the match. Her athleticism leaves the entire school in awe. And while the simps are mesmerized by her, they cannot fathom how someone as incredible as her could be related to a loser like Yokoya. But Yokoya barely pays attention to their disbelief. His mind is still buzzing with excitement from what happened only a few hours earlier. While he is secretly searching the internet for any trace of Yuki's past, a volleyball smashed by Yuki suddenly flies straight toward him. Before it can hit him, Nida catches the ball midair, unknowingly saving his future. Yokoya recalls how, just weeks earlier, Yokoya and Yuki confronted Nida, and Yokoya immediately noticed that Nida had changed her appearance. There, Nida introduces herself as Grace, the new gym teacher at their school, and his new blonde and busty, Alabama-loving cousin. Grace teasingly remarks that Yokoya seems to prefer long black hair like Yuki's, which instantly embarrasses him. Yuki demands to know Grace's intentions, still skeptical by her. Grace then explains that she understands Yuki's feelings, but states that she no longer has any desire to eliminate either of them. Instead, she is fascinated by the idea that a legendary assassin like Yuki could become so deeply devoted to a pathetic loser like Yokoya. She proposes a ceasefire, offering to keep her distance and ensure their safety in exchange for being allowed to stay nearby and observe. As a final incentive, she adds an irresistible condition to Yuki, offering her unlimited katsuda sauce bread for 3 months, which Yuki accepts instantly. Yokoya feels a bit unsure about their deal, but Yuki promises that if Grace ever does try to harm him again, she will personally come to save him. Grace notices that Yuki treats her like a minor character, which sparks her curiosity and makes her want to observe them more closely. Back in class, Yokoya tells Grace to keep her distance because she is standing far too close to him, but Grace deliberately steps closer anyway, hoping to provoke a reaction from Yuki. Yokoya doesn't think that Yuki would be bothered, but Grace tells him that he is wrong, and in that moment, Yuki smashes a ball almost through a wall. The volleyball club watches in shock, completely impressed by Yuki's strength. Just then, a pink-haired girl approaches to tell Yuki that her shoelace is untied, but Yuki notices it herself first. The girl looks disappointed, clearly wishing she had the chance to talk to her. Later, Yuki and Yokoya eat lunch together, and Yuki hesitantly tells him how she feels about Grace getting so close to him, admitting that it makes her uncomfortable and confused about her emotions. Yokoya quickly realizes that Yuki is jealous and gently tells her that what she is feeling is completely normal. The reassurance calms her, even though she is still trying to understand herself. The next day, after preparing herself for her duties as a maid, Yuki challenges herself to clean the towels. To her surprise, she finally manages to make them soft, something she has struggled with for months. She becomes excited by the small victory, and Yokoya notices her effort and congratulates her, praising her hard work even though she still makes plenty of mistakes. After cleaning the dishes, tidying the house, and feeding Mochi, Yokoya asks Yuki what she wants for dinner, since all they have left is cabbage. Yuki considers shredding it, thinking that is the only option. But then she remembers pork cutlets served alongside shredded cabbage, and immediately makes her choice. Later, the duo heads to the local market to buy the pork cutlets, and Yuki is completely mesmerized by the sight of them behind the glass. The deli owner asks Yokoya about her, and he introduces Yuki as his new maid. Yokoya notices how deeply Yuki is drawn to the pork cutlets and tells her that what she is feeling is normal, comparing it to how he used to feel when staring at heroes in the theater. They then notice the elderly cook trembling slightly as he prepares to slice the pork, and Yuki becomes fascinated by him when she sees how effortlessly and precisely he cuts the meat, almost like an assassin. She starts wondering if he was once an assassin himself. The deli owner notices Yuki's excitement, and Yokoya quickly explains that she is reacting to the katsuda sauce. This prompts the deli owner to reveal that she is actually the founder of the sauce. Yuki suddenly begins thanking her like she is Kanye, who created Graduation, explaining that she used to eat alone and never enjoyed meals. But after discovering such a godly sauce, her life changed. She explains that the warmth she feels from it spreads through her heart, and the deli owner gently explains the feeling Yuki is experiencing, helping her realize that the warmth does not just come from the sauce, but also from Yokoya himself. Suddenly, the old cook steps outside and lightly touches Yuki's shoulder, making her sense that he is truly different. Before they leave, the deli owner offers them a spoonful of freshly made katsuda sauce, sending Yuki into pure excitement. Later that night, Yuki and Yokoya eat dinner together, and afterward, Yuki washes the dishes on her own. Yokoya rests on the couch and searches the internet again for Yuki's past, but finds nothing, which causes him to overthink. He considers asking Yuki directly, but decides he must wait until she is ready to tell him herself. Even so, his desire to understand her better continues to grow. That night, Yokoya wakes up from a dream in which he cries for his mother, who left him. Yuki quickly catches him and asks what happened, calming him down. Overcome with emotion, Yokoya leans against her chest, surprising himself, so he immediately pulls away and sits back on the couch, flustered. Yuki then offers her lap so he can sleep more comfortably, and Yokoya refuses, but accidentally drops his phone. When Yuki picks it up, she sees that he has been searching for information about her past, forcing her to finally explain. Yuki reveals that she never truly knew anything about the Dragon's Nine, and she explains that she was simply a girl adopted by her master who became an assassin because she did not want to disappoint her or lose the only home she had. Yokoya realizes that Yuki truly had no understanding of the organization that people now fear, and Yuki tells him that her past no longer matters because everything she has experienced outside the assassin world has been wonderful, as living in the same house as Yokoya makes her want to be an ordinary girl. Yokoya admits that he feels the same way, and that living with her makes him genuinely happy. Wanting to open up in return, he tells Yuki about the dream he just had, a dream where a heroine-like figure replaces his mother and welcomes him, and that figure is Yuki. The following morning, Yuki starts her day the same way she always does, by waking up early, getting dressed, and immediately throwing herself into her usual routine. She takes care of the laundry first, a task she once struggled with but has finally learned to manage properly. After that, she washes the dishes, spends some time playing with Machi, and continues moving through her day. When afternoon arrives, she heads out to the market to pick up groceries, and as she's walking through the crowd, many people stare at her, drawn by her striking beauty. One girl eventually confronts her, commenting not only on her appearance but also on her maid's outfit, saying that it is unusual for normal people like them to wear. The comment catches Yuki off guard, and when Yokoya finds her, he sees her in tears, and she explains what happened and tells him about the maid's dress. The following day, Yokoya and Yuki head to the shopping center to buy new clothes for her. When they reach the store, they unexpectedly run into Riko and Grace, both of whom seem to have anticipated their arrival. Riko claims she's there to help her brother choose something, while Grace casually admits that she hacked Yokoya's phone because she wanted to see Yuki wearing different outfits. Suspicious, Riko asks if Grace is also an assassin, and instead of dodging the question, Grace pulls her into a tight hug and confirms it, which explains how she always knows where Yokoya and Yuki are going. The group moves on to a shopping area that Riko often visits, and she is the first to recommend outfits for Yuki. Yokoya is stunned by Riko's choices, as the clothes resemble Yuki's maid outfit, but are more of what Queen Elizabeth wore in the 60s.
Come on, Lizzie, you can do it. Pave the way, put your back into it.
Yuki likes the outfit because it allows her to move more freely, and Riko agrees, saying that Yuki's beauty is wasted when hidden beneath a maid uniform. Grace then takes her turn, choosing clothes, after Yokoya insists that Yuki should at least have something ordinary to wear. She chooses a place that is packed with outfits that actresses would wear before a shoot with Big Johnny Sins, and when Yuki steps out, she looks like she just got drawn for Rule 34. Yuki does not mind Grace's choice, but she quickly realizes that the outfit makes it difficult to conceal her knives. When Yokoya asks whether she still needs them, Yuki insists that she does, explaining that carrying them helps her feel calm. Yokoya notices that Grace and Riko are not taking the matter seriously, which frustrates him, as he genuinely wants Yuki to have normal clothing. As a result, they move on to a standard clothing store, where Yuki tries on several more outfits, including a swimsuit, and the girls admire every single one, remarking that she looks like a model no matter what she wears. When they ask for Yokoya's opinion, he chooses a beautiful white sundress, believing it would suit her well. Grace immediately teases him, claiming she now understands his preferences. Later, the group visits a Halloween store, where Riko eagerly picks out costumes, wanting to experience Halloween together. Yuki ends up dressed as a witch, while Grace puts on a police officer outfit, looking like a policewoman any man wouldn't mind arresting them. Just then, Yokoya notices a zombie movie playing at the cinema and suggests that they watch it as a group. This reminds Yuki that she has rarely watched movies, as her missions often involved assassinations in places like cinemas, and not watched the new Sharknado in 3D. They decide to go anyway, and despite her history as a top-tier assassin, Yuki is absolutely terrified by the zombie movie. Her fear is so overwhelming that even reminding herself of her lethal abilities does nothing to calm her. After the movie ends, Yuki admits her fear, and Grace bursts into laughter, unable to believe that someone like Yuki could be scared of zombies. Yuki explains that she does not understand what it means to exist as a zombie, which unsettles her. Yokoya reassures her, telling her that zombies are not real and that there is nothing to fear. Eventually, the group decides to head home, and along the way, Riko and Grace try to feed Yokoya and Yuki crepes, but both refuse. Unbeknownst to them, a pink-haired girl watches from across the street, her expression tinged with jealousy. Suddenly, she is confronted by her brother, who scolds her for lowering her guard and orders her to continue training. With no choice, she follows him and abandons stalking Yokoya and his little harem. As the group parts ways, Yokoya offers to escort Riko home, leaving Yuki on her own. She pauses in front of a shop window and sees her reflection wearing the new clothes her friends bought for her, which makes her realize that her latest, ordinary life is finally beginning. When she returns home, she immediately changes back into her maid outfit, then feeds Mochi and starts doing the laundry. Suddenly, the power goes out, and Machi runs away from her, startling her and reminding her of the zombie movie. She hears noises coming from the kitchen and cannot tell whether it is Machi or something else. When a figure slowly emerges from the darkness, Yuki grips her knife, bracing herself for danger. Meanwhile, Yokoya is on his way home and notices a thunderstorm approaching, prompting him to hurry because he is worried about Yuki, who is home alone. When he arrives, he is shocked to see that Yuki has cut part of a towel that Mochi was playing with, having mistaken it for a zombie. Yuki immediately apologizes and promises to mend it, but Yokoya notices that she is not wearing the clothes they bought and asks why. Yuki explains that the maid outfit was a special gift from her master, something that reminds her of where she came from and how her path eventually led her to Yokoya. She admits that she knows the outfit is not ordinary, but she still wants to keep wearing it, and she asks for his opinion. Yokoya tells her that he does not care what she wears or what she is afraid of. He reassures her that everyone has their own quirks, and what matters most is staying true to herself. His words warm Yuki's heart, and Mochi barks in agreement. When Yokoya picks Mochi up, he realizes the towel is the same one they found him wrapped in. He suspects it still carries the scent of Mochi's parents, and Yuki, touched by the thought, becomes even more determined to fix it. She mentions that just as Mochi has his towel, she has a bell that reminds her of her sister. Hearing that surprises Yokoya, who just now found out that Yuki has a sister who has the same assassin roots and potentially the same level of beauty. Several days later, Yokoya treats Grace and Yuki to ramen, hoping it will give him a chance to learn more about Yuki's secret sister. Grace confidently declares that she knows absolutely nothing about the sister, but she is still deeply grateful to Yokoya for buying her ramen. Yokoya is clearly disappointed and tries to press her for more information, but Grace shuts him down immediately, claiming that her love for ramen surpasses her love for the universe itself. She continues devouring her bowl at an alarming speed, and once she finishes, she freezes in shock when she notices Yuki mixing her ramen with katsuta sauce. Grace completely loses it, yelling at Yuki not to disgrace such a sacred food, even threatening to make her pay for disrespecting ramen itself. However, Yuki doesn't give a flying turd about what Grace thinks and continues eating. Later on, Yuki realizes she's run out of katsuta sauce, and Yuki and Yokoya rush straight to the katsuta deli to restock the godly sauce. But disaster strikes when they learn the shop is sold out, as most of the supply had already been bought by students preparing for the upcoming festival. The news hits Yuki like a bolt of lightning, and she is horrified by the thought of surviving an entire week without katsuta sauce. Despite her inner despair, Yuki keeps her composure and politely thanks the deli owner for their time, impressing Yokoya with how mature she is about it. On their way home, Yokoya realizes he needs to lift Yuki's spirits and searches for a topic to distract her. He carefully brings up her sister, and to his surprise, Yuki opens up. She explains that her memories of her sister and family are vague because she spent much of her life alone, but the only clear memory she has is the bell, a gift from her mother meant for both her and her sister. Yuki admits she once wished that her sister would eventually find her, but over time, she accepted that it never happened. In the end, all she truly wanted was for her sister to live a peaceful life, even if they never reunited. Suddenly, Yokoya's friends, Taiga and Kobachi, show up, surprised to see Yokoya with his hot and busty Alabama cousin. Taiga proudly pulls out his new CD, boasting about the artist who's scheduled to perform at the upcoming Katsuta Festival, while Kobachi mocks Yokoya for abandoning them and preferring to hang out with his creamy cousin. But then, Taiga turns to restrain the increasingly irritated Kobachi and instead thanks Yuki for being there for Yokoya, pointing out how much happier he has been lately. Confused, Yuki asks what he means, prompting Taiga to explain Yokoya's troubled past. The two then start recounting embarrassing stories from Yokoya's past, teasing him about the phase where he was a Chu Nuboyu, who thought he was Jin Woo, and even his troubled past with his father. Embarrassed, Yokoya clamps a hand over Taiga's mouth to stop him from oversharing. But in the chaos, Taiga accidentally drops his signed cassette. Without hesitation, Yuki throws her backpack forward to save it. But in doing so, her precious katsuta sauce spills out and splashes across the street, leaving her devastated. The following day, Yokoya enters Yuki's room and finds her as traumatized as the soldiers who went to Vietnam. Yuki explains she had a nightmare in which katsuta sauce hated her and rejected her. She mentions there was something else in the dream but decides not to talk about it. After suffering the same nightmare again and again, Yuki eventually goes to Yokoya's room late one night and asks if she can sleep beside him.
Spicy meat. Yeah, boy.
Trying to remain respectful, Yokoya says he still has studying to do but agrees to stay with her. As she begins to calm down, she tells him that he's genuinely a good person, catching him completely off guard. She then suddenly asks if he's ever truly hated anyone, and Yokoya opens up about the resentment he feels toward his father, a bitterness rooted in his own painful past. Hearing this deeply affects Yuki, and her thoughts spiral back to her sister and the bell. Overwhelmed by emotion, she retreats to her room, leaving Yokoya uneasy. That night, her dream turns far darker. The katsuta sauce hurts her even more by mocking her for abandoning her sister and being unloved. It tells her that the only thing she's good at is being an assassin, and that even her friends secretly despise her. The nightmare shifts into a memory from her childhood, and Yuki remembers being praised as a prodigy, fluent in 15 languages and possessing a mind like a computer. Back then, all she ever wanted was to make her parents proud. But on one of her birthdays, as the family celebrated, the doorbell rang. Her parents answered it, and were never seen again, having been taken by assassins who targeted Yuki for her abilities. After that, only Yuki and her sister remained. Her grief and trauma stripped away her emotions, turning her into a cold, efficient weapon, who pushed her sister away. In the dream, her old master appears, trying to pull her back into that life. But before anything can happen, Yokoya wakes her up. Seeing how broken she is, Yokoya gently reassures her. But Yuki suddenly pulls him into a tight hug and drags him into bed. Yokoya's thoughts briefly spiral, wondering if he's about to get down and dirty. But instead, she simply clings to him, desperate for comfort. Realizing how deeply wounded she is, Yokoya gently pats her back, offering her something solid to hold on to. And there, the steady sound of his heartbeat calms her, and she eventually drifts back to sleep. The next day, Yokoya's friends are shocked to learn that Yuki knows nothing about the Katsuta festival. So Taiga explains it to her in detail, and Yuki is amazed to learn that the grand prize is a bottle of special Katsuta sauce. Her eyes immediately light up with excitement, but Yokoya and the others explain that winning it won't be easy. They explain that she will need to succeed in every category and also maintain acceptable grades. Yuki proudly shows them her most recent test score, assuming it's fine. But Yokoya explains that she needs at least 60 points to qualify, and her score falls far below that. Panic sets in, but the boys reassure her that strong performances in practical exams could make up for it, which Yuki is now determined to conquer. Later, Yokoya and Yuki meet Grace behind the school, where they discreetly exchange a deal that results in Yuki obtaining a rare Katsuta bread. Grace is stunned when Yuki thanks her sincerely, as if she has already forgotten Grace once tried to assassinate her. Grace urges them to leave quickly, claiming she is busy grading exams and doesn't want anyone to witness their exchange. Still, she quietly listens to their conversation about the Katsuta festival. Seeing an opportunity, Grace pulls out a test paper with no name written on it and claims it belongs to Yuki. Realizing she forgot to write her name, Yuki panics. Grace tells her she's failed by default, but offers a deal that if Yuki agrees to stop bringing Katsuta sauce into ramen shops, she'll allow her to write her name on the paper. Suddenly, a powerful gust of wind pushes Grace back, and when she looks again, Yuki's exam now has her name written on it, leaving Grace utterly confused. Grace storms off in frustration, completely defeated, and neither of them understands what just happened until they notice a pink-haired girl nearby. The girl responsible is relieved when she realizes that her interference successfully allowed Yuki to participate in the Katsuta festival. But moments later, Yuki appears and thanks her directly, causing the girl to blush in embarrassment. The pink-haired girl introduces herself as Naka Hikage and confidently claims that she knows a way for Yuki to win the Katsuta festival. Some days later, Naka trains in her family dojo, defeating opponent after opponent like she's looking to be the next Karate Kid. In the middle of a match, a single misstep nearly sends her crashing to the floor, but her brother Tatsu catches her at the last moment. Like Escanor, he reminds her of the pride and responsibility that come with their family name, and his proud words leave Naka feeling frustrated and ashamed. However, what Naka doesn't see is that underneath his hard shell, Tatsu was scared to make his beloved sister cry. Elsewhere, the school festival officially begins, and the main attraction is announced as a large-scale game of cops and robbers. Tatsu is selected to play the role of the cop, while the rest of the students become robbers. Almost immediately, suspicion begins to form around Yuki, who introduced herself as Yokoya's cousin. Tatsu doesn't trust her presence and suspects she could be an enemy, deciding to keep both eyes on her like he's a hawk throughout the festival. At the same time, Yokoya's class prepares for their contribution to the festival, an animal cafe. Behind the scenes, Naka confides in Yokoya, and she desperately wants to prove herself in the game, especially against her brother, to show him that she's strong on her own. At the same time, she admits that she feels nervous every time she's around Yuki and her insane aura. But Yokoya reassures her that everything will be fine and that they'll perform well together in the cops and robbers. Suddenly, a massive Katsuta bottle costume bursts into the room, sending Yuki into near hysterics. But everyone quickly realizes that it's just Taiga inside the outfit. He expresses how confident he is of winning the whole thing, especially knowing that Naka and Yuki are on his team. While some students quietly doubt Naka's abilities due to her looking like Jigglypuff, he insists that she can at least outrun most people. Yuki steps in to encourage everyone, promising that with teamwork, they can even defeat Naka's monster of a brother, Tatsu. Unbeknownst to them, Tatsu is listening from a corner of the cafe, and hearing Yuki encouraging his own sister to go against him irritates him deeply, and it fires up his desire to crush Yuki in the game. Later, the group gathers to discuss their strategy, and Taiga boldly declares that he'll stay in his Katsuta sauce costume, so that the television exposure will showcase him and so he can become a beloved mascot. That comment reminds Yokoya that the game will be broadcast, and he starts to wonder if Yuki is okay with being on camera. Before he can bring it up, Riko and Kobachi arrive. Yokoya explains the rules to Riko, who immediately expresses her disappointment at not getting to see Yuki in a bunny outfit. While everyone else is distracted, Naka finally works up the courage to ask Yuki something personal. Her nerves get the better of her, and instead of asking whether Yuki has friends, she blurts out whether Yuki would like to be her friend. Yuki accepts without hesitation, her gentle response leaving Naka completely overwhelmed with happiness. Yokoya then suggests they explore the festival together, but Naka says she has something she needs to check first. She leaves feeling energized and grateful, determined to protect the bond she's just formed with Yuki, no matter what she might discover. Moving quietly, Naka sneaks around to eavesdrop on the official rules of the game, and what she discovers shocks her. As the event draws closer, the rules are explained that Tatsu, acting as the cop, must capture the robbers, who can win by surviving for 15 minutes without being caught or by freeing a teammate from prison. The special guest, Nazca, then adds an unexpected twist that each class must compete while wearing their assigned festival theme outfits, meaning animal costumes for Yuki's team. Naka feels guilty for not learning about the added rule earlier, but Yuki reassures her that it doesn't matter, as they are now friends, and as friends, they will face and defeat Tatsu together. She also adds that her animal costume covers most of her face, something Yokoya deliberately arranged to protect her identity. Meanwhile, Tatsu stares intently at his sister, and as he watches her, a dangerously freaky emotion stirs within him, amplified by how adorable she looks in her costume. But when Naka turns away from him, something inside him twists, and he directs his frustration toward Yuki, now dressed in a wolf costume, and convinces himself that she's the reason the distance between him and his sister is growing. When the game finally begins, Tatsu explodes in emotion, tearing across the field with brutal speed and capturing students with ease. One by one, participants are eliminated until only the trio in animal costumes remains. Taiga, still inside the oversized Katsuta bottle, tries to play the hero, but he's swiftly taken down and tossed into the prison area. With his focus locked on Yuki, Tatsu lunges at her and grabs hold, attempting to throw her into the jail, but Yuki clings to his arm, stopping herself from being flung away. Seeing this, Naka panics, but the memory of Yuki accepting her friendship gives her strength. Drawing on her ninja training, she throws down smoke bombs and switches places with Yuki in a flash. Unaware of what he's done, Tatsu sends his own sister flying into the prison, and the realization hits him instantly, leaving him bamboozled. Now, Yuki is the last robber standing against Tatsu, and inspired by Naka's sacrifice, She remembers Yokoya's words about how friends can become a chosen family. Yokoya himself had nearly given up on life once, only to be saved by the friendship of Taiga and Kobachi. And now, Yuki feels that same connection with Naka. Determined to return that kindness, Yuki prepares for her final move, while making sure her face stays hidden from the cameras. She charges at Tatsu, and the two test out each other's strength, creating a tornado around them due to the sheer strength they carry. Tatsu accuses Yuki of pretending to care about Naka, claiming she doesn't understand what his sister has been through. Yuki responds with overwhelming force, knocking him down before sprinting straight to Naka. She grabs Naka's hand and tells her that she finally understands, even if only a little, what it means to be a true friend, leaving Naka speechless by the sincerity she carries. Before Tatsu can recover and strike again, the whistle blows, signaling the end of the game. Yokoya initially believes they've won, but Riko points out that both Yuki and Naka are now in prison, meaning Tatsu technically claims victory. Yuki is confused by the outcome, but the television crew immediately approaches her for an interview. Realizing the danger, Naka quickly creates a smokescreen, and when it clears, Taiga is standing there in the wolf costume, while Yuki has swapped into the Katsuta suit. Yokoya and the others move fast, escorting her away before her identity can be exposed. Later, Naka apologizes for being the cause of their loss, but Yuki assures her that it's okay. She then tells Naka that all she thought about was saving her and how much she wanted Naka to like her, which is the same for Naka. Just then, Tatsu arrives to call his sister home, and when he sees Yuki again, his jealousy flares up, threatened by the idea that Yuki might take Naka away from him. Though confused by the intensity of his reaction, Yuki tells Naka that she's looking forward to seeing her again at school, and the promise leaves both girls smiling. Later, Yuki sits alone on the rooftop until Yokoya joins her, and he asks her if she's upset about losing the game. Yuki admits that she cared about winning at first, but now she just feels butterflies in her chest. Yokoya explains that what she's feeling is excitement. In that moment, Yuki realizes something important, that, in her old life as an assassin, she never had the freedom to look forward to tomorrow. But now she does, and that changes everything. Days later, Naka showcases her ninja skills to Yokoya and Yuki, and Yokoya praises her for being a real-life ninja. Despite the praise, Naka says that she's far from it, and she admits that compared to her brother, Tatsu, her talent still feels lacking. She opens up about her worries with her life as a ninja, confessing that she sometimes wishes she could live as an ordinary girl instead. Yuki listens closely, then softly admits that she feels the same way, as she understands that longing for simplicity more than anyone. The shared confession draws the two closer, and when Yuki suggests that they talk like this again sometime, Naka smiles brightly. The calm is shattered when Grace suddenly appears, immediately throwing a playful jab at Yokoya and teasing that with Naka around, his female roster is growing. Yokoya snaps back, telling her to stop talking nonsense, but before the argument can go further, a knife whistles through the air and destroys Grace's lollipop cleanly. Yuki apologizes at once for misfiring, but everyone can sense the jealousy behind the throw. Amused by how unfazed Grace seems, Naka asks if she's like them, and Grace casually confirms that she's an assassin too, and then drops another bombshell by revealing that she knows Naka belongs to the Hakage ninja family, which completely catches Naka off guard. Yokoya demands to know why Grace is even here, and she explains that she's heading to China soon for a mission, and there's a chance she might cross paths with Yuki's former organization. She says that if she does, she might uncover information about Yuki's missing sister. After Grace departs, Naka hesitantly asks whether Yokoya and Yuki are a couple. Yokoya panics and rushes to deny it, tripping over his words, while Yuki remains silent, lost in thought. But then, Yuki reflects on how her life used to be simpler, when she only had herself to worry about. Now, surrounded by people she cares about, especially Yokoya, her heart feels fuller than ever. Yokoya and Naka are both moved, but Yokoya realizes then that, at least from Yuki's perspective, she sees him more as a brother or a dad rather than a husband. Just then, snow begins to fall, blanketing the moment in peaceful silence. As they admire it, Yokoya receives a message from his estranged father, promising to return in the new year, and the message instantly drains his mood. The next day, the yard is completely covered in snow, and Machi charges into it without hesitation, followed quickly by Yokoya. He builds a snowman, and Yuki tries to do the same, but hers turns out looking like it's missing some chromosomes. Yokoya compliments it anyway, joking that it's abstract art, and they laugh, until Machi crashes straight into Yuki's snowman, reducing it to a sad pile of snow. Yuki tries desperately to fix it, but when Yokoya gently tells her it can't be repaired, she feels sad. Just then, Yokoya gets a call from his father. And after the call is finished, Yokoya explains that he needs to visit his family home and asks Yuki to watch over things while he's gone. As he prepares to leave, Yuki stops him and asks him to meet her later. That evening, on his way back, Yokoya notices a small crowd gathered nearby. Curious, he approaches and finds Yuki there, who dresses casually yet stunning enough to make any man want to propose. Without a word, she wraps a scarf around his neck, takes his hand, and invites him out on a date. Yokoya asks her what happened, and Yuki admits that Riko encouraged her, but more importantly, she just wants to cheer him up, as seeing him sad makes her feel incomplete. Despite the romantic atmosphere, Yokoya struggles internally, and he keeps telling himself that Yuki feels too innocent, too precious for him to pursue. As the snowfall thickens, he comments on how much he loves snow and the holiday atmosphere. Yuki giggles and says she loves hearing that, especially since her name literally means snow. And Yokoya's soul gnarly leaves his body hearing that. Afterward, Yokoya pulls Riko aside and asks if she thinks Yuki actually has feelings for him. Riko says it's possible Yuki just hasn't realized them yet, then immediately suggests taking a love compatibility quiz on her phone. Yokoya doubts it, but Riko insists, claiming it worked for her friend. She starts firing off questions about closeness, emotional moments, and some painfully personal topics, and with every yes, Yokoya answers her. It slowly dawns on him that he might be far more in love with Yuki than he ever admitted. The final question asks whether Yuki has ever said she likes him, and when he answers no, his score lands on 96%. Riko celebrates like it's a victory, while Yokoya is disturbed by the missing 4%. Suddenly, Yuki appears, and Riko immediately suggests that Yuki take the quiz too. One by one, Yuki answers the same questions, and each time, she calmly says yes. At the final question, whether Yokoya has ever said he likes her, Yuki confidently answers yes. Yokoya is shocked by her answer, while Riko is ecstatic, realizing her brother got himself a hot pair of cheeks. Later, the three of them gather around for hot pot, and Riko starts recounting embarrassing stories about how Yokoya used to trash the house just to anger their father. Yokoya tells her to stop, not wanting Yuki to hear about his childish past, but when she refuses to listen, he kicks Riko under the table, but she doesn't react. Confused, he keeps kicking, until he looks under the kotatsu and realizes the horrifying truth that he has been kicking Yuki the entire time. Both of them freeze, and when Riko asks what's wrong, they awkwardly dodge the question. Riko grins knowingly and says they look exactly like a couple hiding secrets together, and they both get their brains crispy. Later, in his sleep, Yokoya replays fragments of his date, but that moments slowly blur into memories from a past he thought he had buried. He remembers the day he confessed to a girl and was turned away. She told him he didn't truly love her, that he was only clinging to her to escape his loneliness. Those words carved deep into him, warping his understanding of love itself. Even now, they linger, forcing him to question what he feels for Yuki and whether those feelings are real. Yokoya then wakes up and finds Yuki asleep beside him. Careful not to disturb her, he quietly slips out of bed, needing space to steady himself. Outside, he blames himself for agreeing to let her sleep beside him after she begged through her nightmares, knowing that his Slim Jim struggles to sleep with her beside him. Just then, Yuki asks him if he's okay, and Yokoya brushes her concern aside with a weak excuse about cleaning. One he knows doesn't convince either of them. Splashing water onto his face, Yokoya admits the truth to himself that he does have feelings for her. Yet the fear of being rejected again keeps his heart tightly locked. Later, Yuki mops the floor, silently encouraging herself to do better than before, until Mochi causes chaos, splashing water everywhere and leaving her soaked. Even though it's clearly the dog's fault, she apologizes, and Yokoya scolds Mochi for making her wet. Fully aware of what really happened, when Yuki takes off her clothes to dry off, Yokoya accidentally catches a glimpse of what he wishes he could take off of her. Panicked by how easily she affects him, he immediately retreats, fleeing the room to calm himself. No matter how drawn he is to her, he still can't bring himself to say anything about his feelings. When he returns, he finds Yuki kneeling in front of him, ready to comfort him. Flustered, he blurts out that he's too embarrassed to rest his head on her lap, never realizing how deeply that response cuts her. Her smile falters, and then, without warning, tears spill from her eyes. Yuki tries to stop crying, confused and ashamed by emotions she doesn't understand. While the tears won't stop, bamboozled, Yokoya changes the subject and suggests she take a bath so she doesn't catch a cold. She nods silently and walks away, leaving him alone with his regret. In the days that follow, Yuki cries more than ever. She weeps at small, harmless things like dogs barking or leaves falling. Yokoya doesn't know how to help her, and while she still sleeps beside him every night, he always lies awake, right until the new year. One day, Yuki looks for Yokoya but finds only a note saying he's gone out for a while. She takes Mochi for a walk and heads to the local market for groceries, only to discover everything closed for the holiday. With no choice, she enters a supermarket for the first time in her life. A butcher offers her a sample of roast beef, and she gratefully buys some for dinner. When she returns home, she finds Yokoya making okonomiyaki, and finds out that he also bought roast beef. The coincidence makes her eyes fill with tears again, and Yokoya quickly assures her that it's okay. When she tastes the rich, katsuta sauce-covered meat, she cries once more. That night, Yokoya sleeps on the couch, telling himself he needs to pull himself together with his father returning the next day. While he sleeps, Yuki quietly drapes a blanket over him. The next morning, Riko arrives, full of energy for their New Year celebration, only to find Yokoya still fast asleep, so her plans instantly fall apart. When Yuki asks what's wrong, Riko casually mentions that it's Yokoya's birthday. The revelation hits Yuki hard, and she bursts into tears yet again, stunning Riko, who has never seen her drop a tear. Believing something must be wrong with her eyes, Yuki decides to stay home, and Riko gently accepts her decision. Later, Yuki finds Yokoya's phone and sees a message from Naka inviting them to visit the shrine. Wanting to go, Yuki heads there alone and meets Naka. They draw fortunes together, and Yuki's fortune warns that she will lose something. Her chest tightens as she immediately fears it means losing Yokoya. Sitting with Naka, she finally opens up about how she's scared that Yokoya might no longer need her, and how terrifying the thought of being hated or left behind is. Once again, she cries, and Naka comforts her, admitting that she sometimes can't stop herself from crying. She shares advice from her mother that tears aren't always weakness, but they are sometimes just emotions that have been trapped too long, finally overflowing. She encourages Yuki to let it out, promising that one day, her smile will return. After calming down, they make their wishes, and Yuki silently prays to always stay with the one she loves. On their way home, they discuss what to buy Yokoya for his birthday, and while fried pork is the first thing that comes to Yuki's mind, she suddenly remembers the neatly displayed action figures lining his room. Inspired, they head to a nearby shop to see if they can find something similar. Inside, they discover the exact same figure line Yokoya owns, and Naka points out that it's part of a gacha machine set. Yuki asks how to obtain the rare black variant, and Naka explains that she has to keep pulling until luck smiles on you. They try to get it over and over to no avail, and the frustration finally overwhelms her, and she breaks down in tears, crushed by the sense that she's failed yet again. Just then, a random dude notices her distress and offers to help. He talks about how Yuki has to play the game with full bloodlust, and Yuki listens intently, taking every word to heart. Yuki steps up to the machine again, as if it were a target of hers, and silently vows to defeat it. With one final coin and a surge of determination, the capsule drops. Inside is the black toy she wanted, and Yuki stares in disbelief before bursting into gratitude, thanking the man as if he found the cure to cancer. He chuckles and remarks that she reminds him of his son, who always cries when he loses too. Back at home, Riko slaps Yokoya awake and bluntly warns him that their father is returning soon. Still groggy, Yokoya notices a note Yuki left behind and realizes he never told her about it. Riko scolds him for failing to communicate with someone he lives with, but Yokoya brushes it off, insisting that living together doesn't always mean sharing everything. Her words stir old memories of how, when his mother disappeared, his father briefly returned, and Yokoya was unable to open up to him. Cold and distant, his father left again soon after, working overseas while a nanny raised him. Since then, Yokoya has never found the courage to speak honestly with him. Just then, Naka messages him and tells him about Yuki's disastrous day and suggests he try cheering her up. Moments later, Yuki walks through the door, and Riko greets her warmly but immediately notices her sadness. Yokoya starts to tell Yuki about their father's return, but stops halfway, changing the subject instead. Deep down, he's afraid of how his father might affect her, and afraid of his own instinct to shield her from that pain. Meanwhile, Riko praises him for finally being brave enough to confront his fears. Later, when their father arrives, Riko throws herself at him without hesitation, while Yokoya lingers awkwardly behind. He then introduces Yuki as the new maid, and the moment his father looks at her, he recognizes her and her real name, Shue. Yuki thanks him for helping her earlier that day, and as Yokoya prepares coffee, He watches in stunned silence as the two speak comfortably, reminiscing about the assassin mentor Yuki once trained under. His father offers condolences for the master's death, while Yokoya watches from distance, feeling like an outsider in his own home, as their closeness in conversation only makes him feel the pain of his mother leaving him even more. When Riko begins questioning their father about his knowledge of assassins, he casually dodges the topic with humor, but Yokoya recognizes the pattern instantly, which is how his father avoids uncomfortable truths. That realization hits hard, and he now understands that his father's distance wasn't just cruelty, but it was silence, a refusal to ask, to listen, or to try. The father then announces that he's leaving again, but Riko brings up Yokoya's birthday and how they should celebrate it, but their father remarks that Yokoya never liked celebrating it anyway. He gives Yokoya a generic happy birthday, hands him a gift, and prepares to leave. However, Yokoya remembers Yuki's determination earlier that day, and before the car can leave, Yokoya stops him and asks if Yuki can continue staying in the house. Instead of answering, his father turns the question back on him, asking what he wants. For the first time, Yokoya answers without hesitation that he wants Yuki to stay. His father accepts the decision, quietly proud, seeing his son's growth in character. The car then leaves, and Yokoya feels proud to be able to speak honestly and protect Yuki. Just then, his father calls him and asks to speak with Yuki. He then asks her what she thinks of his son, and she answers sincerely, saying Yokoya has been wonderful to her. The father thanks her, admitting she's the reason Yokoya is finally beginning to change. Overwhelmed, Yuki begins to cry and asks Yokoya if he'd like to see the night view. When he agrees, she lifts him effortlessly and carries him to the rooftop. There, Yuki hands him his birthday gift, which she fought so hard to win, and while it's a little broken, Yokoya treasures it all the same. In that quiet moment, he finally opens his heart, telling her about his father, about the man he once admired, and how everything broke after his mother left. For 10 years, he avoided repairing that bond, but with Yuki, he doesn't want the same distance. Fumbling through his words, he asks her to become part of his family. Yuki's tears fall again, this time from happiness, and she accepts his offer. Overwhelmed by his emotions, Yokoya confesses that he loves her, and Yuki smiles and tells him she loves him too. Later, in his bedroom, Yokoya feels a sense of peace after his confession, but suddenly realizes that Yuki told him that she loved him as family. However, in the kitchen, while preparing dinner, Yuki's heart begins to beat faster, realizing that what she feels for Yokoya is more than a love between family, but something even stronger. If you watch this anime recap until the end, comment down below, Timu Violet Evergarden. And if you love anime recaps like this, watch this video.